What's going on, guys? E from the Easy Entrepreneur YouTube channel. I flip diabetic supplies full time. So this video is about bringing in a driver. I know a lot of people doing huge numbers, doing numbers like me, but they're still wearing hats. And right now we're working on, how to get them to, bring a driver in, trust a driver and stuff like that. Because, a lot of this, when you have a business and it's doing well for yourself, or this is your first business and it's doing well, it becomes your baby. You know what I'm saying? You have issues with trusting people and stuff like that, right? But there's ways around that, right? So like when you're bringing in a driver, you can put in contracts in place. You want to think about how other companies are doing it, right? Other companies, they feel the same way about their business. They don't want to steal their business. They don't want no one to steal from them in their business. But they're not letting that stop them, right? They're putting different contracts and stuff in place. So you guys can go and do that. Try to find a contract that has some clauses in it where, there's certain things that driver couldn't do, right? And legally, you can take action, right? So you have that aspect. So always remember that, right? Second, as far as training them and stuff like that, come up with a video of what you do on a drive, right? And how you buy and critique the supplies and what not to take, right? Put systems in place where if the driver pulls up to a customer and the supplies are not making sense to him, whatever, they'll be able to call you anytime, right? When you're bringing in employees, you need to be there still, right? Just like they're working 9 to 5, you're still working 9 to 5. You're just not doing all these different things, but you're still there to be able to talk to them. And whenever they have any questions, especially with this business, because it's your money that's on the line, literally. Remember, we're buying the supplies up front. So it's your money on the line. So I don't want no one to make no hard decisions in my business for me. I don't, right? Unless I brought in someone to replace me to manage them, then that particular part of things, of way I would look at things, that would be on them. But as far as the employees, when it comes to this business, things can get tricky, right? The criteria, the supplies can be a little bit difficult to understand in a way where you're not being greedy, right? It's like a damaged supply is a damaged supply. Sometimes there's some supplies we could take based on damage. Sometimes some damage might not be damage to you, and it might be damage. It might be damage to you, but to the buyer it is. You have a very thin line when it comes to damage, very thin line when it comes to dings and dents, and some supplies are still being bought by our buyers based with minimal damage, minimal dings and stuff like that. So for you, it's always gonna be one of the toughest learning curves. So just think about bringing in someone that's just working. You know what I mean? For you, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna really care, right? Now, obviously, if you just say, hey, don't buy this if it looks like this, then yeah, you're good. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you might miss out on some money on a supply that might be a little dinged, and you might say it's damaged, and then you don't take it. But then the whole time you could have, right? So that's what I mean, where things can get a little tricky. But I don't want to scare you or nothing. It's a very simple concept. But so you want to be there for your driver. Maybe print them out some material to be able to recognize what's what, as far as what supplies we're getting, stuff like that. Set up systems where when he's finished with a pickup, he has to text this number or that number. He has to write down this and then send it to you. Maybe take a picture of a completed pickup, little things like that. And then just don't be anal, right? Don't be anal. People make mistakes. So you get through the mistakes, you speak to them, with compassion. You don't come down on them, right? People don't leave companies, people leave managers. So you want to talk to them in a respectful way and let them know the mistake. And just as a human being, they won't make that mistake again. Now, obviously, if someone's constantly making mistakes, then, you got to just move on. But it's very rare you're going to have that. And, as far as hiring and stuff like that, use your better judgment, right? Use your better judgment. Hire mature people You know what I mean? Use your better judgment. If you hire the wrong person and things don't go right, move on to someone else. Continue to keep working at this to find the right person until you do, because this stuff, it will free up so much of your time, right? Because we end up getting caught up making so much good money, but then we end up being on the road, right, for 4 or 5 hours a day, but you making crazy money. But 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, you know, you're just like, uh-oh, this is kind of turning into a job. You know what I'm saying? Even though you could tell customers, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, and take a day off, or you could cut your day short and say, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. You can always do that. But this is the money you need to. This is your job. I mean, this is your income that you're making. There's no paycheck or nothing for missed days or anything. So you need to go and hit this thing all the time, right? To maintain, you know, the income you're making and the business you're running, right? So yeah, you want to bring that driver in. So I'm working with people right now, helping them figure that out and get over some of the obstacles, you know, psychological stuff. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I teach a semi-course. You guys hit me up. I work with you one-on-one as well, you know? So hit me up. All right, peace.